I'm willing to bet that at some point in your life, you found yourself comparing, whether you were comparing yourself to friends, comparing yourself to maybe someone you've heard of, or even just comparing yourself to someone that you saw on Instagram. But that's super unfair to you just because you're putting unrealistic expectations on yourself in your life, and that is holding you back. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can go from comparing to being inspired and motivated. So if that's something that you know is going to help you go to the next level in your life, I encourage you to keep on listening. This is the space where you are saying yes to your biggest goals in a world full of idle dreamers by empowering your identity, beliefs, and abilities. Prepare yourself, because to create the reality we want, we say no to excuses, who cares to other people's thoughts, feelings, or expectations. And we say enough to the things that are holding us back from our greatness. It's time to set the table to do the work, to become successful, fulfilled, and free. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Trevón Jr. I'm super thankful that you decided to check out this episode where we are going to be talking about how to go from comparing to being inspired. Now, if you're watching me on YouTube, different background, but the same gems. And also, if you could do me a favor before we really get into things in terms of how we go from a place of comparison to a place of being inspired and motivated to make our dream happen, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe to the platform that you're listening to me on, and also send this episode to somebody, just because there's a lot of people, particularly now in the social media age, where they could be finding themselves comparing to things that really have nothing to do with them. They could find themselves comparing themselves to friends, strangers, people on social media, whatever. So be sure to share this episode with somebody, all right? But in this episode, I'm just going to give you 3 practical things that you can do like literally right now, as soon as you are done listening to this episode, that you can start thinking about and start taking action on, in order so that way you can go from a place of comparison where you find yourself comparing to a place where you are inspired to take action towards your dream, okay? And the first thing that you need to do is that you need to build confidence in your journey. Okay, build confidence in your journey. And the reason why this is so important is because when you think about comparison, right, if you were to think about it in a very objective state, it's really unfair to you. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because each of us has a story. Each of us has different level of resources, different experiences, different backgrounds, different ways in which we think, different mentalities, different obstacles, which will lead to different decision making, everything like that, right? Everyone has an advantage. Everyone has some level of disadvantage. And when you are confident in your own journey, basically when you're running your own race, you have a level of tunnel vision. You're not necessarily going to be thinking, oh, well, you know, I'm 25 and they're 25 but they've reached 6 figures, but I'm still barely making it. I'm not. Different experience. You don't know what their process had to be. Right? In the same way, flip it. They don't know what your process had to be when you have reached your level of success, right? Because and that's where you exercise a level of gratitude, right? Wherever you are right now, their success is there. And not everyone needs to know your process to get there. But you need to make sure that when you're looking at people where it's easy to fall into that comparison trap, that you are confident in your ability, you're confident in yourself, you're confident in who you are, your identity, your beliefs, right? And you're confident in your dream, you're confident in what it is that you want to do, you know why you want to do it, you know who it impacts, right? And you're confident in the process. And that's where you get into just your ability, your willingness to learn, your willingness to master skills, your willingness to gain knowledge, things of that nature, right? But that comes with confidence in your journey, having tunnel vision on what it is that you want. Okay. And that way, when you are navigating social media, when you are in different conversations in different rooms with people, you know, and you should honestly want to be in rooms with people that are quote unquote more successful than you, just because that's how you're going to learn. And that's where you get into being inspired by those people rather than comparing. Right. And you learn discernment on what you need to pick and choose from in other people's stories, other people's experiences, whether you know them from afar or you actually can have a conversation with them. You can learn those things. Right. So another thing that you really need to do, okay, in order to go from a place of comparing to being inspired, is that you need to be mindful of what you're paying attention to, okay? Be mindful of what you are paying attention to. Now, the reason why this is super important, right? Because you can be extremely confident in who you are and extremely confident in your journey, but you still want to make sure that you have some sort of filter system. So that way, let's say something unexpected comes up that may cause you to fall into that comparison trap. If you have the right filter system where you know exactly what you need to consume, what you need to look at, what you need to listen to, and everything like that to keep you in a place of inspiration, to keep you in a place of motivation, then you give yourself just the best chance at being successful, right? And this goes into with social media, like who you're following. And I don't care if it's a friend, celebrity, whatever, just who you have on your timeline that's chosen by you. It's not because you're friends with somebody. At the end of the day, your social media is your social media. So this also takes a level of self-awareness of your emotions, right? Because let's say you're following someone who may be doing better than you, right? And they're posting like the greatest parts of their life, because that's just what people do on social media, right? I mean, you think about it, who's actually posted failure on social media, right? Everything is just the successes and wins. But if you are following someone where consistently you look at their posts and you find yourself falling into the comparison trap, you find yourself in a place of uneasiness, you find yourself allowing the voice of doubt, kind of that volume on the voice of doubt getting turned up as you view that person's voice, you need to unfollow them. Like, that's just the truth of it. I don't care if it's a close friend. I don't care if it's a celebrity, whatever. You have to unfollow them, just because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you have complete tunnel vision and putting yourself in the best position to be successful. Okay. And that goes into also your solar system, right? And solar system, as we define it here, is basically who and what is around you. Okay. And that goes into your friends. You deal with the character of your friends. You need to make sure that you have a close-knit group of friends that are actually not only going to hold you accountable, but that inspire you, that are also on their own journeys, right? So when you have, as I said in the last episode, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. So if you have a group of friends that truly are motivated, they're confident in their own journey, and they're making moves and taking action towards making their dream lifestyle a reality, now, everything that they do, as you all keep in touch with each other about, okay, I just did this. Oh, I just accomplished this. Oh, I just closed this deal, right? There's a level of inspiration there because you're confident in your own journey. And then you're looking at things in a lens of possibility rather than why not me, right? And that's a better place to be, in the sense of you want to look at life in a sense of, how can I grow from this? And okay, this is what's possible for me. I see that if they can do it, I can too. And now I'm going to take action. That's what being inspired looks like practically. That's what being motivated looks like. Okay. And another thing too, and this is another reason why it's very important to be mindful of what you're paying attention to, is that if you don't see it, you're not going to compare yourself to it. Does that make sense? If you don't see it, how are you possibly going to compare yourself to it? And so that's why it's extremely important to be mindful and cognizant of just what you're looking at on a day-to-day, what you're seeing on a day-to-day, what you're listening to on a day-to-day, who are you listening to on a day-to-day, right? Because that matters. You want to make sure that everyone that you listen to, everything that is in your solar system, everything, who and what is around you, is empowering you, all right, to make your dream happen. All right. And so that's the second thing that you really can do to go from a place of comparing to a place of being inspired. Now, the last thing, all right, the third thing that you can do in order to go from a place of the last place thing that you can do, from being in a place of comparison to being inspired, is that you need to find a success model. Okay. Once you have confidence in your own journey, once you are mindful of what you're paying attention to, you need to find a success model. Okay. Tony Robbins says, I think is one of the greatest, well, he got it from Jim Rohn, but it's one of the greatest quotes I've heard in a while, is that success leaves clues. All right. Now, we've already said everyone's journeys are different. Everyone's experiences are different. Everyone's definitions of success are different. But it is super important that there are foundational pieces when it comes to being successful that you have to hit. All right. In order to be successful, there are characteristics and pieces of that success that you do need to incorporate, whether that be a habit, thought pattern, mindset, whatever the case may be. But you want to make sure that you find a success model that is in line, basically someone that has done what it is that you want to do. And in following them, that you follow that model and the blueprint that they laid out, and you customize it to you, right? I'm not saying to just take people's stuff, but just when you think about your life and you think about what it is that you want to do, when you think about your dream, find people that are living that dream and then see what they're doing. So that way you can implement that into your own life and customize it to you. So that way your path will be your own path as you follow that success model, right? So for me, my two success models, I have two. My two success models are Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins, right? Both, I wouldn't even want to necessarily say life coaches, but their purpose is in helping people. And that's why they're two of my success models, just because every time I see the things that they're doing, I'm inspired, just because it's like, well, if they can do it, right, I can too. If Grant Cardone can go from being a drug addict for 10 years of his life, and he's built a $2.1 billion industry, or empire, I should say, then there's no reason why I can't, with the resources that I have and the experience and I have my work ethic, that I can't do the same thing. I'm inspired, and it has me take action because of the things I see him doing. Similar with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins goes from basically had nothing to where he now just understood the foundational things to success and learned psychology and gets in touch with some of the greatest minds in the world. And now he's able to literally change lives, which is in line with my purpose, which is, as you're listening, which is to help people realize that your dream is possible. And I truly want to help you make it happen. So those are my success models. And every single time I see anything that they post, anything that they're involved in, right, I pay attention. I'm very intentional about, okay, I'm paying attention to what they're doing, and I'm inspired by it, because it allows me to take action as a result. All right. And that's the whole point of this episode, is that you really want to make sure that whatever you're doing when it comes to looking at other people, and it doesn't matter whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it's somebody that you know on social media, right? Or if it's just a stranger on social media, you want to make sure that anyone that you are paying attention to, and you may even start looking at for similarities, that it's resulting in you being inspired rather than falling into the comparison trap. All right. And that's super, super important, just because if you fall into the comparison trap, you basically are delaying yourself, because there's no way you're going to live the life that you want if you're living it from a place of doubt. All right. If you are emotionally in a place of doubt, there is no way that you're going to really live the life of your dreams. However, when you make the decision to do the 3 steps I just talked about, from building confidence in your journey, from being mindful of what you're paying attention to finding a success model, when you do those 3 things, you now put yourself in a emotional place of confidence. And then when you are emotionally confident, that will lead into your decision making and your action steps that you take. All right. And that's super, super important. That's the space that you want to be making decisions when it comes to living your dream lifestyle. When it comes to crafting your dream, you want to be in a place of emotional confidence, not emotional doubt. Okay. And now, so just to wrap up, just to make sure that you guys get these 3, because I really want to make sure you guys go from a place of comparison to a place of inspiration, is that you build confidence in your journey. All right. So your own experience is your experience. Your life is your life. Your doors are your doors. Your path is your path. And you also want to make sure that you're mindful of what you're paying attention to. So if you got to unfollow some people, if you got to even block some people, do what you got to do. Be mindful of what you're paying attention to. That goes in TV shows you watch, music you listen to, whatever, right? And then 3, find a success model. Find someone that is basically already living the dream that you want. Find bits and pieces that you can start doing, start studying that individual, and implement it into your life, okay? Take action for your life. Do not be held hostage by comparison, because it's unfair to you. It's unfair to you. It's only delaying your dream, and it's not worth it. All right, so with that, that's all we have for this episode, where we talked about how to go from a place of comparison to a place of inspiration. And I'm super thankful once again that you decided to join me on this episode. So do me a favor, if you really liked this episode, if there was something that really stood out to you, if this episode really motivated you to really do something, leave me a comment just to let me know. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm doing this just because it's in line with my purpose to help you live the life of your dreams. Really means a lot to me. So do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share this episode with somebody. And as always, remember that your dream is possible as long as you're willing to work for it.